Hey Musa, how you doing?
I'm all right, Jonathan. How are you?
I'm okay. Yeah, I mean, what have you? What sort of week have you had? You been feeling okay?
Yeah, I've been. My wife went down to London for a 5 day course, so I have. Yeah, I had. I can't look after my kids myself, right? I had to call my mum up, to be honest. Well, I can look after my kids, but I spent 10 years doing this while my wife was doing on calls and these kind of things. I find it very tricky. So yeah, my mum came up for a few days. I really enjoyed it actually. I managed to go out and see a lot of my friends and various things. I had a certain degree of freedom that I don't always get. Yeah, I've, I've had
Do,
a
you-
good.
do, do you mind me poking around in your private life? Is that okay or
Well, a
not?
little bit. Yeah. That's fine. I
I
probably
mean,
do
look,
deserve the better a little thing, a few
yeah,
things. But yeah, go on.
and you
Yeah,
don't have to answer any questions I ask you.
sure.
Um, what I mean, let's start with stuff we both know. What's hard about looking after kids? And how old are the kids, more or less?
They range from 7 to 15.
Okay,
14. 14, yeah. They're growing
okay,
all the time. I
okay.
keep forgetting.
Why is that
And
hard?
um, so my youngest, I'm a bit worried that she has ADHD. She's very hyperactive. She's a handful, and she needs one-to-one attention all the time. And I have other stuff to do. I've got my work to do. I've got my yeah. I'm doing a degree in finance. There's other stuff going on for me. Do you know what I mean? Um, but it really takes a lot out of me. Then there's my son. He's always on the computer. He's always on a PlayStation playing some weird game. There's a game. Do you know this about gardening? I mean, literally, it's a Minecraft game. Have you come across this, Jonathan? It's
I don't.
about gardening. It's virtual gardening. I mean, there's a garden outside. He could go. Actually, if he's got so much interest in gardening, he could go and actually garden. But he'd rather play this Minecraft game about building your own garden. I don't know what it's called. Yeah. Um, and yeah, then I've got my other
So,
daughter.
so why
Yeah.
is that? Why is that difficult?
I think children need attention, isn't it? They need attention. They need care. Maybe I'm not wired that way. Do you know?
So why is it difficult to give them attention? If that's the task.
I think the thing is, I'm, my mind is distracted in 101 different things. I have to, yeah, I have a lot on my plate, and so giving that extra bit for the children sometimes really pushes me over the edge.
But that was the package. When you sowed your seed, that was the package. That's what you signed up for, quite literally.
That's true, Jonathan. But I think that's why we have division of labor, isn't it? I mean, you. I think that what did I say? It takes a village to feed a child. I think, yeah,
Well, yeah, but we live in a modern society where we're all in these sort of slightly different
hmm
families.
yeah,
But we
yeah,
also live in a society which is very busy, and you've got
yeah,
lots of things, and I've got lots of things.
yeah. Of course, of course.
And I just took my daughter up to. She's gone back to university, and I took her there, and that took the whole day.
Yeah,
And I couldn't do any of my other things. And we broke down on the way coming back, so it took more than a day. It kind of took
how is it?
it it,
Whereabouts?
it took a long time. So
So,
look, the thing
yeah,
is, that's just part of it. I don't. I She said, "I'm terribly sorry because you're coming with me and it's
mm,
taking up time." I said, "No, no, this is what I like about it.
yeah.
What don't you like about that?"
Well, I think, yeah. No, I get where you're coming from, John. I mean, I get the idea of gratitude, being in the moment, understanding that is important. So what happened on one of these days is, so because my youngest is a handful and kind of you have to worry about road safety. she was kind of distracted, and my mother took my other daughter out to the shops because they were fed up of being cooped up at home. And then my youngest daughter suddenly realized that she turned around, and she realized that her grandmother and sister had disappeared, right? And she threw a massive tantrum, right? And the only way I was ever going to resolve this was, I was in the middle of some lecture or something, but I had to take my daughter herself so I took her to the park and this and that. I spent an hour and a half with her actually, and to be honest, it was great. It was fantastic. It was a good time, just seeing her play on the slides and swings, and then we bought an ice cream. I think there was a circus close by. All of this kind of stuff, right? And I was just wondering, why have I been putting this off? And to be honest, Jonathan, I don't know. I don't know the answer. What I do know is that I'm not completely atypical for, yeah,
You're not completely. I mean, none of us are atypical.
yeah,
It's,
yeah,
it's the greatest shame. No matter
yeah, yeah.
how quirky we get, we just fit in with another crowd. But I'm intrigued because I think
Mm-hmm.
the thing with kids, and I
Yeah.
think it's it's part of the process of existence, is when you have kids, you will find yourself in absolute hell. It's very difficult.
Mm.
It's not easy, and you
Mm-hmm.
can go off and do your thing. You can totally ignore them if you wish. Some people,
Mm.
there's a range. You can totally ignore them. You can do your thing, and you can be annoyed that they want their
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
when you. But I think, well, that's crazy because you have this thing which is so fundamental to our existence, which is
Mm.
a child. It's fundamental. Without them, it's all over. They're so fundamental, and yet we're going, well, no, I'm sorry, I've got to write this email, and I've got to do this, and I've got to do that, and everything else becomes more important. And then we have I certainly have the voice of my parents thinking, well, look, just go off and do your thing, and come back to me later. I'm an adult, you're a child. And I think all this, and it's a strong voice because I've grown up with it. But I don't think it is in any way helpful, and I think it actually exaggerates the problems. This idea that we're adults and children,
Mm.
I think, is a very odd thing because as a psychiatrist, you probably are familiar with ideas that actually we're adults with children inside of ourselves. We still have the childlike self
Oh,
inside of
absolutely.
us.
Undoubtedly.
So we're still children.
Yeah. In fact, there's I mean, I do many assessments. There's a point in my assessment, it happens so often, where, I do this, what are the symptoms? What's the history? What are the medications? What therapies have you had? It's an extensive conversation. And I leave the most difficult stuff till last, which is um, often about, so tell me about your early life and these kind of things, right? And then after that, I've got a lot of information by that time, and often there's a story of trauma or difficulty or early life experiences, uh, and I just turn around. This happens so much. Um, I turn around and say, "Well, I'm just wondering what it was like for that young child who went through this and this and this, and is now left with the residual features of anxiety, and um, and it's not infrequent that at that moment the patient starts crying in front of me. You know, although it seems as a third person just listening to the story, it seems really obvious, right? And often I get, oh well, doctor, nobody's ever put it quite like that before. But of course, that was the story. Of course, when I suppose nobody had the time. Um, so there's definitely just a child inside of all of us, but it kind of gets covered by the paraphernalia of life, doesn't it? We kind of distance ourselves from that child.
So how does the child,
Yeah.
because we're still a child, so we can still tap into that. I mean, I was very. I
Mm.
mean, how do they see the adult? I was very lucky.
Yeah.
As I went somewhere and I spent a long time sitting with
Mm.
myself, and I managed to
Okay.
see many perspectives. And for a moment, I think I got some clarity on how my daughter saw me
Mm-hmm.
without us. She wasn't there, but and how I was with her, not as a child, but as a
Mm.
person.
Yeah.
And I could see that the demands I had in my life, and the rules I had in my life and the way I needed things structured in order to get through my day
Mm.
were actually just interfering with who she was to some degree. And my reactions to her I mean, they just seemed like I was it's that parental thing. You think you're bringing some order and some long-term importance to
Mm.
this person, but most of the time you're just screwing them up.
You
And
think?
oh, I'm absolutely sure it's it's
Right.
it's it's all these interventions we do, and we of course we know something's wrong about them because we've got so many stories to justify them. And if we've got lots of stories to justify something, the chances are we know deep down it's not right.
Oh, I don't know, Johnson. You
I
know,
think
the thing is, I come across lots of mothers in my caseload, right? For example, often mothers, sometimes fathers as well, who are worried about whether what whether their personality is rubbing off onto their children, right? Or all of the issues that they're bringing, or the fact that they need to be the perfect mother, and they need to have the perfect kind of children. Um, and so I talked to them about Winnicott. I think it was Winnicott who came up with this idea of
who's
wi-
Winnicott?
Donald Winnicott. I believe it was Winnicott. I might have the names mixed up. Who talks about good enough mothering, right? You just need to be a good enough mother. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to, you need to be able to provide a secure base, a secure attachment, for the child to be able to nurture and explore the rest of the world. And most of us, we are probably that. We are, even in me as a father, I'm probably just about good enough, right? I can't be perfect. I'm certainly not the perfect dad. But we have to cut ourselves some slack with this, isn't it? We can become overly neurotic and worried, and that in itself will have um, negative effects on our children, isn't it? We need to provide them for a secure base stability so they can go out, explore the world, and make those attachments.
So what is good enough? Good enough is good enough just part of sort of the anxious spectrum where we either just say yeah I'm good enough or we go oh my god I'm never good enough. Is it just another tool
I
to mess around with?
well, I think that the thing is, if there are secure, if the child feels secure in the home environment, that's what good enough means, isn't it? In the home environment, in the family environment,
But what
and
does
and
secure
and
mean?
yeah,
What's secure? The
I
child
think
feels
I
secure. They
think
could be in an awful
yeah.
environment to feel secure because they don't know anything else.
I don't think so, Jonathan. I think you see children acting out. I see people with residual anxiety. I think we know what insecure is. I think we know what anxiety. I think it's very difficult to define security or what good enough is, but we know what not good enough is. You know, and so by that kind of process of exclusion, you get there. I think.
So in that,
Mm,
why do you decide not to take a greater role in the? Because you obviously have some role in the upbringing of your
of
kids,
course,
but
of
why
course, of
not a
course.
greater role? Why a degree instead of more time with the kids? Why'd you bring your mum in when you could say, okay, this is? I
I
mean, your
bet
mum
John,
might want to be there. I don't know. I mean, these might be hard questions.
they're very hard. They're very hard
Sorry,
questions.
they're
The
not
degree.
accusing
No, no.
questions because I
Yeah, yeah,
played the. I think all parents play the same game.
yeah.
They're having to make those decisions.
Mm. The degree. That question is one that my wife has asked me many a time, and I think I end up bringing my or asking my mum to come because the house will be a mess if she's not here, and I'm left to look after the children for 5 days on my own, right? Um, so that's the practical aspect. But yeah, obviously, I don't think I can replace the role that a mother has, that my wife has for her children. It's impossible for me to do. It's impossible for. I suppose we're getting here towards gender roles. There's
We can,
certainly, I think, a role.
I,
Yeah.
We're going to get
for
there.
a mother. Yeah, yeah.
I just want to know what this replacement thing was. Are you replacing, or are you just an alternative role? If a role is, I'm not even sure a role is the right thing.
I just don't see how I could ever replace what my wife does for the kids. I couldn't do that. Yeah, I can do the practical stuff. I can make their bed. I can, change their clothes, change their nappies. Once upon a time, um, I can kind of arrange for food. I don't cook myself, but I can sort out all the stuff. I can get them to do their homework. I can keep them busy. I can wash them, but I cannot provide that kind of emotional the same way. I just can't do it. I
Did
have
you
to
just
accept
did,
the.
did you
Yeah,
just
go
say
on.
you don't cook?
No, I don't cook. No.
How old are you,
what?
Musa?
What?
I mean, I mean, no, you must be able to boil an egg. You must be able to put a frozen
Probably I
pizza in
could.
the oven.
Of course, I could do that much. But
Can you?
I can't
Can you?
cook nutritious food. Yeah.
What have you
Why
been
is that
doing
so
with your
difficult?
time? How have you got to this age? No, I thought everyone at this age could cook.
Oh no, I can't. So when I was,
Oh, cooking's beautiful.
I'm sure it is. When I was 14 or 15 years old, my grandmother chased me out of the kitchen. Told
Uh,
me, yeah, yeah. So that's my excuse.
so
It's not
hang
my
on.
fault. Yeah,
So your grandmother chased you out of the
yeah,
kitchen,
yeah,
and
yeah.
had you been a girl, would she have chased you out of the kitchen or
No,
not?
no,
Or you,
no. That was very much so. She chased me out. Said, "There's nothing doing here. You don't." So we make rotis or chapatis, right? Indian cooking, Indian Pakistani cooking. So I asked her, "How do you make this?" She said, "Get out. There's nothing for you here." So it's never been in our family. My younger brother, who is a GP and is very much into kind of health and fitness and nutrition, he cooks, but he's the only one of us who can do it.
do you have any desire to learn?
I think it's very difficult now. It's something that you don't. Yeah.
Why is it difficult?
Look, it's anything that you don't learn in a certain period of life. It becomes very
Uh-huh,
difficult to sort out. Look, when I was a student, it was easier to go to. So I was a student in Whitechapel, right?
uh-huh.
So in Whitechapel at that time, probably still now, you could go to that. There would be a XFC, PFC, £1.99 chicken and chips. That would be my food, right? If I hadn't brought something from home, and so it just never made any sense to learn how to cook. I regret it now, but
But
yeah, I can't
you
cook.
lived off fast food.
Basically,
I mean,
yeah,
because there's a
basically,
great restaurant, the whole kebabs down by Whitechapel. You've got a whole of
yeah, yeah.
Brick Lane. You've got all the
Oh, of
stuff
course, yeah.
coming
No,
out.
I
You've got
went
some
all
brilliant
to those.
places.
I went to those places as well, but I was a very poor student.
Uh huh.
Trying to eke out, and
Because you
yeah,
didn't cook,
of course, yeah.
spending it all on takeaways. I mean, hang on. What's your degree in? That you're doing a degree.
Oh, now it's economics and finance. Yeah.
So let me get this right. You have you're a consultant psychiatrist.
Mm,
You have a PhD
yeah.
or not?
Yeah,
What's
yeah,
the
yeah.
PhD? What's the PhD in?
That's in psychosis studies. Yeah, I have more degrees than
Okay, and now you're doing
because
one in economics,
yeah, yeah.
and you're telling me it's
I
too
can't
late
cook.
to learn to cook. No, you told me it was too late to learn how to cook. It's not too late to learn how to do economics or the degree you'll
Yeah.
do after that. And why? I don't. It's nonsense. Of course, it's not too late to cook.
Maybe, Jonathan, we live in our gendered roles, and it's very difficult to break out of that.
Oh, okay. Hang on.
Mm.
Okay, so this may be something I haven't seen in it. If
Yeah,
you
yeah.
if you were to pick up a saucepan and chop some onions and some garlic and fry them up and maybe put some rice on the pan, as I'm about to do after this,
Okay.
what what sort of person, what sort of man does that? Does that demasculate you? Does emasculate you in some way? Do you become a bit of a lesser man?
I don't think so. It's just a skill I don't have.
It's
I
just
think
a
that
skill.
I I think that is something that certainly, yeah, from my family background, I think that's that would have certainly been thought of not that long ago. Obviously, in modern Britain, um, we don't think that. In fact, my children they do food as a subject at school, and they love it. They really love it. My son as well. I mean, who really enjoys it, and it's good. It's something that I didn't get at school. Any teaching on kind of food, nutrition, these kind of things. I think it has kind of um, health effects on us later in life as well, isn't it? It certainly has for me. I mean, I don't know what's really in the food that I'm eating, the ingredients that are being used, these kind of things. I think I take it a bit for granted.
But you're missing the pleasures. I mean, it's very odd.
Mm,
I'm just at that
yeah,
age. So at school, the boys
yeah.
did woodwork and metalwork, and the girls did sewing and cooking.
Hmm.
And me and my friend, we said, well, no, we want to do the cooking,
All right.
and they refused us. I imagine a few years later they wouldn't have done so. We're the last of the no, boys can't do this. Boys can't
How
do
was it?
cooking.
When was
Uh,
that then?
so that'd
70s?
be late 70s. By then
Yeah,
we're into the beginnings of the 80s, and it didn't stop me cooking.
yeah.
One of the things I really love about cooking is many years ago I was working in Whitechapel.
Mm,
Back in mid 80s, I'm working in
yeah,
Whitechapel, and I get to know all these people from different parts of the world. And there
yeah.
was a lovely guy called Masood
Mm.
and his friend Said. But Masood taught me how to cook a sort of curry,
Oh, you're
and
gonna embarrass me now.
and I've never forgotten that, and I'm always grateful. Every time I sort of fry up the spices in the
Uh,
oil, and then I pour them into the dal. I always remember him. I've never forgotten him. I remember him more regularly than he could have ever imagined. And that's the joy of cooking. It's connective. I mean, you've never, you don't sit there chopping the vegetable. It's enjoyable. Such a lovely craft.
mm,
And then
yeah,
I tell you what my daughter does with cooking, because she's a much better cook than I will ever be.
yeah.
And her mum's a good cook, and her sister's a good cook, her aunt's a good cook. So I mean, it's in the blood, maybe. But she sits with one dish. It's a bit her. She sits with one dish and she'll cook it, and she'll go, think about it. And the next time she cooks it, which will possibly be the next day, because she's quite repetitive like that, she'll get it a bit better. And she crafts the cooking. She takes
Mm,
great craft, and she really and then she goes out to eat and she's tasting how they've cooked it. It's an absolute pleasure. And I can't
mm,
understand what in you wouldn't want to engage in that.
mm.
I think what is it?
I think there's yeah. If I did it now, I think the kids would complain. The wife would tell me that I'm making a mess in the kitchen. I would probably be embarrassed. The dish probably wouldn't be any good. There's 101 things that don't.
Yeah, but I'm sure the kids complain, and your wife tells you you're making a mess several times a day.
Yeah,
This isn't different. And
yeah. I
I
think
mean,
it's the embarrassment is what I mean, the humiliation. I think
which
of
you're not going to
yeah,
get with economics, are you? You're not going to get, oh, you got that sum wrong in economics. But you're going to have to go through a
no,
bit of,
but I think to be honest, I think people do get that in. I mean, I've really enjoyed my degree. It's very heavy on the maths. I can see some students who struggle and they get really embarrassed and they perceive it as a humiliation. And I'm like, well, you get it wrong. It's all right. You just try again the next time you move this Y from here to there, or whatever it
yeah,
is. Um, but yeah,
yeah,
that's
there's
something
shame.
I'm.
But
Mm,
I'm intrigued. Is it to do with the gendering of roles for you? Is that in the mix?
I don't know what you mean, Jonathan. You'll have to.
Boys don't cook. Boys
I
do
yeah.
degrees.
I I I don't think that's the case. I'm sure certain people would think that. I would perceive that I think that. I don't think that. I don't. I just don't have that skill because it's not in my cultural background to for boys to for men to have learned that skill necessarily. Of course, some of my uncles are great cooks, but Yeah.
so, so you just disproved yourself in the same sentence. I
Mm.
mean, so there's something going on there, and
Yeah.
I mean, how do you see the sort of? Do you think women's roles, men's roles? Because you say that's part of your
Mm.
culture, then you explain that actually part of your culture is also men breaking out of those roles and probably women breaking out of those roles.
Mm.
I mean, it's full of people breaking out of these roles. We've talked about childhood and
Mm.
we've talked about voices we hear in childhood from adults, and that
Yeah.
they're not always in our advantage or in our favour, or they actually can be quite damaging.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you know all that. What do you think gender roles have any role? I'm not sure what is a gender role.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. Well, I
using
mean,
words I don't even know what they mean. What's a gender role?
do you think that do you think that different genders are attuned to doing different things? I suppose, Johnson, or not?
It depends how they depends how they're brought up.
Mm.
I mean,
Yeah.
and it depends where they are. I mean, it's not like a seesaw with everyone on the very far edge of this
Yeah.
seesaw. It's a notion of different ways of being. It's a notion of different ways of being whatever body you are.
Mm.
You know, as a boy, you know, I look back, I had so much energy, and of course, you talk to a parent with boys, and they go, "Oh my God, they got so much energy," and I remember
Mm.
having so much energy and bouncing off here and accidents and after accidents after accidents because I was, you know, I knocked myself out once because I thought I'd dive onto the bed, but I just totally missed it
Mm.
and I went into a wall. Um, you know, that's a very boy-like thing to do.
Mm.
So that was me, but I don't see myself constrained by role. But perhaps I am. I possibly
Well,
other people that disagree. I know I am because I'm quite lazy and quite around tidying up. I didn't grow up with that. But then my daughter's, I mean, she is quite lazy around tidying up. She didn't, but she didn't. She did grow up with it a bit.
so
Didn't they?
I think to answer your question in full,
Mm.
yeah, that there probably are some roles which naturally society gives to certain genders. Yeah, of course, people can break out of those gender stereotypes. Those stereotypes have been for many people, particularly women, historically very constraining, right? Um, I think particularly in the fields of education, academic achievement, um, and certain professions. On the other hand, there probably is some role for yeah. So I don't know. I mean, yeah. What was it the other day? There was somebody I saw. I can't remember. Um, that I didn't normally see women doing that role. It just struck me as odd. But for example, obviously we have women bus drivers, taxi drivers, these kind of things, right? But I think I would be worried about a female cabbie going out, doing the midnight shift at 12 o'clock at night, wouldn't you?
Why
Yeah,
would you be worried?
I think because what happens at those hours, people are there's less security, particularly for women, and yeah.
Because maybe that is a gender role. Male violence is probably a gender role.
Mm,
We're very good at it. We dominate the violence landscape. Like
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's not exclusive, but we do dominate
yeah.
it. And disturbing male violence, so that sort of
Mm,
creepy. You know, oh, it's dark. I'll do some violence now and some sexual violence. That's a very sort of boys thing to do, isn't it? Why
mm.
why do, why why do we have that role? What's that about? Is that storytelling, or is that could that be transferred, or is that actually to do with biology?
Well, I think the question about whether it's due to biology or whether it's a social construct is an interesting question. But in a sense, does it really matter? For example, I've taken 3 children through nursery now, right? I think almost all of the nursery workers that my children have ever been with, and there's been a lot. maybe I've seen one lad in all of that. You know, they've all been mostly young women, yeah, sometimes older women as well. You know, um, and it strikes one that that's the children bond more easily with women than with boys. I might be wrong in that, right? But it seems that they're very well attuned to attach to females, right? There's a more maternal instinct, you would think, right? I think I've seen evidence of that. Um, Now, I haven't got the randomized control evidence of that. And whether that's a biological aspect, there probably is some biology there, or whether that's just a socialized cultural aspect, I don't know. But that system seems to have generally worked well for my kids, right? So I wouldn't say that there are
So,
no gender roles. Yeah,
so yeah, here we go. We've got some
yeah,
sort of maternal bonding going on,
maybe.
more or less, maybe. Where does that leave the bloke? In the pub, smoking cigarettes and watching the football? Is that their relationships to attachment to children? Where does it leave them, or do they? I mean, do they have to make it all up because it's not real?
Well, I think the thing is that certainly the bloke or the father. Now we're talking about traditional family structures, right? A two-parent heterosexual family structure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course not all families are like that. But is there's in that let's call that a traditional family. Clearly, there's a role for the father, and the absence of the father can have a massive effect on children, isn't it?
In a good
I
way or a
hear,
bad
yeah.
way? In a good way or a
Well,
bad way?
the absence of the father will lead to a bad way, or if the father or well, if either of the parents, it's most often the father that I hear about as a bad kind of role model, right? It's often the father that I hear about where people say to me, about alcoholism or anger or other kind of things that have real effects later on in life, isn't it?
So the
But
absence of
that,
that.
yeah,
I mean, is the absence of a highly problematic father damaging, or is the absence of a highly problematic father a lot less damaging?
I think that we're getting into counterfactuals now, Jonathan, isn't it? How can we possibly know that, right?
Okay, see, so
Yeah,
but the thing is, there's just all these
yeah,
possibilities, and as you're absolutely right, there's all these possibilities away from this man-woman style of
yeah.
bringing up kids, and then we're caught in the nuclear family of it, and there's so many ways
Mm,
of doing it, but it's whether we do it consciously or we do it because, I mean, it's the funny thing with tradition. It's when do we question what we think we should be doing? When do we just go along with it, or when do we do it because it's trending? Or
mm.
someone said, "Oh, this." I mean, my parents were this generation that bought Doctor Spock's book on bringing up children. It's an awful
Oh
book.
yeah,
It's dreadful. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, it's just subtitled "How to Absolutely Screw Up Your Kids and Put Them in Therapy for the Rest of Their Lives." I mean, that is awful book. But very popular, and of course
Hmm.
we've got all these popular parentings of the times, or other things that are said. How do we know what to do? What what's the solution?
I think, Jonathan. I honestly, I think this. I think it's really important that if we're thinking about the child, we're able to think about the secure attachments of the child, and we're able to put the child first rather than our own needs first, right? You know, and we kind of do away with our preconceptions and our kind of prejudices. So, for example, what I've told you about is a very typical, probably British Pakistani family where probably most of the men probably still do the cooking, right? And the rearing and the nurturing, and maybe the school drop offs as well. Although it's probably more of a
Most of the men
default
and
way.
most of the women. I didn't catch you.
The women probably they do the kind of bulk of
Okay.
immediate childcare for the children, and then the men probably go out and earn the money and pay for the mortgage or the council tax or the rent or whatever. There's But is there anything necessarily wrong in that, Jonathan? If that's a traditional way of being, if it provides for the children. So the question really is, how do you provide that secure attachment, that secure environment for the children? There may not be one way of doing it, but I'm more interested not in what is the family structure is like, but what the experience is for the child, because that's what I hear about all the time. And
Mm.
to have a traditional family structure where the the father may uh, have anger issues or be alcoholic, there might be affairs going on. These kind of I hear all these things all the time, um, which is why I'm bringing them up. That can be so damaging for the children in ways that we don't yet understand. Does that make sense? And that's more important than the exact structure of the family.
But don't they interplay? Isn't
Yeah.
I mean, this is a problem with ideas of tradition. It makes everything sound
Mm,
static, and everyone just lives a very sort of static life in a village of their own creation of tradition.
mm,
This isn't how it is. So, whatever model you put on,
mm.
I mean, life is a bit of a crazy roller coaster, to put it
Yeah.
mildly, and we change, and our hopes and aspirations change, and our relationships with each other change, and it isn't smooth. It's incredibly unsmooth.
Mm.
Well, that's my experience of talking to other people, and
Of
certainly
course.
my experience in my own life. So, and when we get onto what's best for the child, what are those structures? Let's put it let's put it in real time. Your wife, who, in a sense, from what you're telling me, also breaks with certain traditions. From what I
Mm,
understand from previous conversations, she's very high achieving, very well
hmm.
educated, very good at what she
Yeah.
does, and she's off to do 5 days of training just to push it a bit further. Much like you
Mm.
with your economics degree, that's who you are as people. So they go away. How do you then see your time in order to create security? What's for security for the child? You said it's all important to create security for the child. That was what it was about. It wasn't about your
Jonathan,
degree.
this is my get out of jail card that I learned as a psychiatric trainee, and I've stuck to all my life, right? As a father, which is I don't have to be excellent, I don't have to be
Uh,
perfect.
yeah,
I just have to be good enough, right? And I
yeah,
think I'm good enough. I might not be. I think my children will be the judge of that. But I just have to be good enough, right? And
yeah.
so yeah. And actually, there's one of the things I tell my parents, my patients as well. You just have to be good enough. And within that kind of being good enough, you can have lots of diversity. I mean, there's lots of people who question me as to, well, why are you letting your wife do this, that, the other? Do you know what I mean? You're the man. You're an Asian man. Do you not have? I just have to be good enough. And actually, also, I think in the back of my mind that and I may be wrong. That if I go and achieve, or my wife goes and achieves, I have two daughters. You can set an example to the children that these are the things which are important, right? Um, in terms of kind of being productive, in terms of trying to go out there and not being afraid of the world, right? I think that's important.
So
Yeah.
what? Go on. So what interests me in all that is, and
Mm,
it's the thing I quite love about you. It's you're very culture aware. You're very aware of the structures and chains
mm,
of your religion and of your
mm,
culture, and it's always sort of playing with those, which of course I must have
mm.
my own structures and chains. I'm just not so aware of them. But you are, and you're. I mean, how does it? How does that? How does bringing up children work within the structures and chains of your religion and your culture?
I think that the thing that is important, or that I certainly think about, is that I think that obviously there's an importance in kind of the emotional aspect of the children, and that you know it's important that their basic needs are met. It's important that their emotional needs are met. It's important that they're integrated into the local society. It's important that they do well at school. To me, or I'm less worried about grades, but that they have some kind of academic bent. I think it's also important that they have some kind of attachment to the mosque, or to the local uh, Muslim community, to the local imam, to these kind of things. So those things are important. After that, I'm less bothered. You know, I maybe that's a lot that I'm putting on my children. But they could do basically what they want if these kind of things are they know the importance of all of these kind of things.
I mean, it's one of the things I find
Mm.
fascinating about being a dad.
Yeah.
When I suddenly notice it's always going on, but I suddenly notice, hang on, I'm living vicariously through my child. I've got my
Mm.
values, and I need my child to conform to those values. I'm, incredibly messy. If you could look
Yeah.
down from the camera, you would see chaos. But I have a limit, and sometimes my daughter crosses my limit of messiness. I say, "Oh, for heaven's sake, tidy up!" I mean, anyone from the outside would be going, "What is he? What's going on?" But it's that thing, and because there's that age, I think. I mean, you probably know more about it, but there's that age children go through where you're constantly saying no. It's awful. It's an awful age where they're just saying this and that, and you're saying no, or you're saying enough, or they're doing something, you say no, stop doing that, stop doing that. And it's just this thing. And it almost encultures you to live through your child. And it's a very hard habit to break. And as
Mm.
I watch parents with their children, I constantly see this in play. They're kind of, if I were you, I would be doing this. I'm going to tell you, because you're not a person, you're my child. I'm going to be telling you for your own good. And so you're a good person in
Mm.
the world, like I'm a good person in the world. Uh, or we do the very opposite. And it drives my daughter nuts. Don't do this. I've always done this. Please don't do this. Don't do what I did. What is all that? Because in a sense, you're doing that. I want them to have a
Well,
good education. You've got a good education.
mm,
I want them to go to the mosque. I don't want them to go to another
mm,
temple or no temple. What
hmm
what is that?
I think that yeah. Firstly, I don't think you can live through your childhood. You'll learn this very soon. I think anybody who's not a parent will learn this very soon. Your children have their own temperament. They have their own personalities. Each of my three little people have extremely distinctive personalities. I know them very well, um, and it's kind of foolishness. I mean, I think the reason I'm a doctor is probably because my father was living through me, right? I might have told you this before. I have a ridiculously large medical family in Lahore, in Pakistan, and my father didn't become a doctor, um, and then he made me one. Oh, it's just it's awful, right? Okay, but anyway, um, I think that yeah, you can't live through your children, but I think you can give them certain values, whether they take that on later or not. It's up to them, isn't it? I can't. That there will come a time when they have to decide whether those values have helped them or hindered them.
Why is there? Yeah, well, this is the thing we do with kids, isn't
Mm.
it? We say there comes a time. I
Yeah.
find myself saying, no, you will need this in the world. But you know what? I think I got all that stuff, and I never listened to
Yeah.
it. And it isn't like that, is it? It's not like you can. I mean, it's a. When you buy a new gadget and there's a manual and you can't
Mm.
really read it because you have to start playing with it and working it out for yourself. Isn't
Mm.
isn't why? I mean, I wasn't brought up with a religious upbringing,
Mm.
and I'm quite thankful I wasn't. I mean, I miss some things.
Mm.
I'd love to sort of have some sense of half believing it, but of course now it is too late because it can only be a theoretical grasp unless I have a moment of
Mm.
absolute conversion, as some people do. It might still come there. I might become a Zoroastrian tomorrow because I have a vision. But if that doesn't happen, I can't quite live it. Why is it important for you for your children to live it and to be in it and to read the scriptures?
I think there's some things that you can't understand without being in it, right? Like, for example, you can't understand what it's like to swim until you get into the pool, isn't it? There's some things about faith that I can tell you. We can debate about the nth degree of Islam. I think um, yeah, there's lots of interesting academic discourses and debates that we can have, right? But um, I can't explain to you exactly what it means to be a Muslim unless you're in it, right? And so now my children are in it, so I have a very obviously different relationship with them when I'm telling them about Islam than when I'm telling you about Islam, right? Because I'm not there academically debating with them about the nuances or the finer points of the belief, am I? You know, they're saying I'm talking much from more of an experiential direction, right? This is, this is how you pray. This is what it means.
No,
And
no. Tell me a bit more. You've really got me interested. What do you mean by that?
well, I mean, so for example, um, some of the emotions or the behaviors or the uh, some of the approaches that you might take to prayer, you know, is it's only something that you can do if you actually accept the faith, of course, isn't it? If you think that, oh, this is intellectually a very interesting exercise, but I don't believe any of it, then uh, then you're not going to get very far, are you? You know. And so, in order to explain, I suppose the whole weight of the faith, the tradition, the culture, what it means, you have to be part of it. Now, it may be that my children listen to that, they take it on, or they don't take it on. They may reject it later in life, and I have to be ready for that. But in order to play my part or undertake my role, I have to get them to experience it. The only way I can do that is by being a role model for them, isn't it?
So,
Yeah.
are there right and wrong ways to pray?
Yeah, of course there are. I mean, you can pray very fast without meaning, or you can pray with emotion and meaning. I mean, they're completely different experiences. You know, you can, yeah. There are some people who say 1,000 prayers a night, for example, and it doesn't really mean very much. And there's some people who might just say one or two, or two, and it may mean the world. So there's clearly different qualities of prayer, right?
And did you discover that, or were you taught that, or is it a bit of both?
I think it's both. Yeah. But you do discover it over time.
And as
So
you
yeah.
go on, no,
All
as you do
right,
the
I've got a question. I'll
go
ask you
on,
when we
go
finish
on,
this bit. Yeah, no,
go on
you
then.
ask your question.
I'm just intrigued on what it means for you as
Okay.
a father to impart these traditions, these stories, these ways of being
I
to your
think
children.
yeah. I mean, I think that's my duty. That's my role. I think the faith assigns me that role and that duty. It would assign the mother some roles and some duties as well. But I experience it very differently from the way my wife may experience it. You know,
Do you talk
I
about it?
I do talk about it. Of course, I do talk about it. Yeah, what with my wife? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Of course, you talk about if the kids are if they're if they're struggling with something, if they're finding something difficult, if they are enjoying a certain aspect of it, if they're doing something well with. Let me ask you a question completely.
Yeah,
Well,
go on.
actually related. I just like some advice as a father, right? 14-year-old son, right? And so yeah, he wasn't feeling well this morning. Um, had a very tough weekend, so I kept him off school today. So he goes straight to the PlayStation. He starts playing this Minecraft game. Yeah. So I have these folders. They're this big. Actually, I'll show you. I have 3 or 4 of these folders filled with junk. Right. It's all important stuff that I need to be shredded. So I give him the folders in between patients. I tell him, can you please keep the dividers, because there's these very expensive dividers in them. Please take them out. Take all the paper out from between, and there's this
Uh,
2,000-3,000 pages worth of documents, and shred it, and then I roll him over the shredder, which is a £150 shredder. So what does he do? He basically rips the papers out as fast as he can because he wants to get back to the TV.
huh?
He gets them all in a big bunch, and he jams my shredder, my £150 shredder, right, which I'm very proud of. At which point, and I am still incandescent about this, right? Because he just wanted to play his PlayStation game, right?
Huh?
And I've been biting my tongue, and he's promising me that he didn't know that he wasn't just trying to get back to the TV, all of this, right? So how am I supposed to react in this circumstance? Am I supposed to lose my rag? Or am I supposed to make him pay for the shredder? Or should I just let it go?
What's the outcome you want?
I don't know. I'm just very angry. I've lost a very nice shredder.
But wasn't that one of the possibilities when you set the task?
Yeah, probably it was. Actually, the outcome that I wanted was I wanted him to do something with his time productively today. Actually, that's what I wanted. And in fact, I lost that because he basically jammed the shredder, then got straight back to the PlayStation.
But
Yeah.
hang on, there's just the battle in a sense, and I'm sitting on the outside of it, so it's very easy.
Yeah.
But once the shredder was jammed, I mean, let's take back the reflection of the task you gave, which one of the outcomes was quite clearly the shredder was going to jam, because shredders jam very easily, and no matter what the price. But what after the shredder jammed? What was the outcome you wanted then?
Well, obviously, I wanted the shredder to work.
Yeah, but what was the outcome you wanted with your son then?
I don't know. Jonathan, I don't know. This is all too difficult to think about right now. I told him to go read a book, and instead of that, he went straight back onto the PlayStation. Yeah, I was angry beyond belief, and I just bit my tongue. And actually, what I stopped myself from saying was, I should have never got you to do this in the first place. You're just useless, right? Which I've obviously heard enough times when I was a kid, right? And I know that's very damaging. So
you bit your tongue, and he won't remember. He won't remember angry dad who made him feel useless, and that saved him a few visits to a psychiatrist later on in his life. But it's curious, isn't it? Because I do this. I sort of say, "Could you help with this?" And of course, the help never comes as I want it.
Yeah.
But it never did when I was a kid. I never, it always went a bit not wrong. I mean, why am I repeating the same formula? And I don't know. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's also that thing is when my kid's doing something I don't want her to do. So she's watching TV or she's on her phone or she's doing whatever it is. And I've got another idea of what she should do. I get annoyed. I don't say anything most of the time, but of course I do say things. I say things sort of slightly down the, what are you doing? Like I'm interested, but she knows, she can read through it. She knows me. Of course she knows me. Just like you know your kids, they know the parent. They know when the comment is indirectly directing. So what's that about? Why can't I just let her be? Doesn't matter. I'm just a bit older now. But does it matter? Or if I can develop a good enough conversation to her that we can just chat that stuff without the iron fist.
Are you proud of your daughter?
I'm proud of her. I always say to her, I'm proud of you, because she does something. I say I'm proud of you, but I'm always proud of you. So it's just another thing. No, I am proud of her. I'm proud of my stepkids too. I mean, it's and that's very. I don't think I'm proud. No, take it all back. I'm not proud. It's not the. I don't sit there feeling. I don't think it's anything to do with me. It's them, and if they feel the pride in it, if they can see it, that's great. Do I feel? I tell you what it is. I just enjoy their company. I enjoy their company so much. I really love it, and I miss it when it's not there. So it's a precious time. It doesn't last. I tell you what, you hear all those people who they're on their way out, or they've got very old, and they say, "What do you wish you'd done?" And so many say, "I wish I'd spent more time with the kids." And you think, okay, I'll do that. I mean, what the hell? What else am I going to do?
I think you're very fortunate, Jonathan. You seem to have got it right.
I don't think I've got it right. I mean, I'm on the anxious scale, but I just think no. You put the time in there. What's the worst? worst that happens is you just put the time in there and they don't talk to you again. That's the worst.
Mm.
The time's going.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? I watch it. You watch the world of celebrity, you watch the world of politics, you watch the world of success and achievement. The sacrifice is huge because what you're sacrificing for that is a lack of the absolute beauty and wonder of the ordinary. You've missed so far, but I hope you just turn around to your kids and ask them to teach you how to cook. You've missed the absolute beauty of cooking. It's amazing. It goes wrong all the time, but you see, it's those things. The ordinary holds the wonder. The carrot on the donkey's head, and we are all the donkey with the carrot. The carrot, that's the thing to get. Oh, that's the thing society values. Yeah, well, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But where do we live? That's how I see it.
I'm sure you're right, Jonathan. We'll end it there, and I'll learn to cook.
Oh, come on! I come round. You can cook me a dish. Learn one dish. One dish.
All right. Maybe I'll get curry from you. But I've still got this problem with this £150 shredder.
You just have to get it on the shredder. You should have insured it. Should have bought the insurance when you got it, huh? They always break. They always break.
Oh, this is one of the expensive ones that I specifically got.
They always break. Yeah, they always break. And look, I tell you what, we'll have a cook-off. You cook me a dish, and I'll cook you one back. But learn one dish. One dish.
All right. Okay. I'll
maybe a promise.
I'll have to psych myself up for that. But yeah, I'll do it.
I'm going to come. I'll come all the way up. I'll come all the way up just to eat it. I promise you.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. See you, Musa.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.